All right, and welcome back, everybody. Thank you for joining us. We can't really talk about investment infrastructure without talking about Ameren. I mean, Ameren's got a lot of projects that they put out to a lot of site members, and so we are excited to have Rick Eastman back in the stream. Rick, welcome, sir.
Thank you, Jeremy. Thank you. Honored to be here. Thank you for inviting us again.
Yeah, this is I'm sure Ameren has has been busy here lately. I know with all the rolling blackouts in the South and whatnot. We don't have that here in Missouri that we're aware of because here in St. Louis it's been power on the whole time. So thank you to those at Ameren, and you can kind of touch upon that a little bit just because it's very apropos right now.
Sure, we're very thankful that we had both the electricity supply and natural gas supply because we serve natural gas where I live here in Jeff City in central Missouri and down in Cape Girardeau and other parts of central Missouri as well with natural gas service. Supplies were not quite as large a margin that we normally have, but we were able to keep everything running. We did have some small electric customer outage down around Lake of the Ozarks, but got that repaired pretty quickly. So, yeah, very thankful. Our power plants kept running. Natural gas kept flowing, Jeremy.
Awesome. Well, Rick, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the presentation.
All right. Thank you so much. And I do want to thank you and Leah and Stacy and the Site Improvement Association team. You guys have been awesome to include us 3 times over the last few years. And as you know, this worked great in rehearsal. Let's see if I can certainly get these slides up. We do want to talk about our smart energy plan. That's the primary thing. I see it full screen. I am hoping, Jeremy, if you could at least give me a verbal cue that it's showing,
Yeah.
we will move forward.
Looking good, Rick. We're good to go.
All right. Thank you, sir. Well, folks, thank you again for this opportunity. Part of the reason I seriously believe we were able to keep things going so well in terms of our energy grid over the last week or 10 days during this extreme cold and severe winter weather was because we have made major investments in our smart energy grid plan for the last 2 years. As most of you guys will recall from our last presentation, the smart energy plan was enabled by passage of Senate Bill 564 in the 2018 legislative session. So when we last spoke with you guys in 2019, the bill had just become law in August of 2018, and we began to move forward with some of the projects in 2019. So now we have 2 years runtime. We've invested in the grid, and you can see on the right side of this slide just the 2020 Smart Energy Plan accomplishments. And so 38% of all the capital invested was in grid modernization. $2 million in solar rebates were paid. That was part of that bill. Customers were asking, if I put solar panels on my home or business, can I qualify for some rebate money? And yes, they were able to. We completed more than 600 projects really in just 2020 alone. And our upgrades helped reduce power outages and the length of time that we had for those by up to 40%. So that goes back to Jeremy's point. We're able to keep the lights on. And a lot of that, again, is because of these smart energy grid investments. The economic impact from these investments, we have really supported about 400 jobs throughout the state. And 57% of our suppliers are Missouri-based. We'll talk more about that later in the presentation. And $225 million of the investment, 32% of that sourceable spend has been with diverse suppliers. So as you can see on the left part of the slide, guys, $8.4 billion with a B is what we're planning for electric investments from this year through 2025, assuming that the Missouri Public Service Commission renews the Smart Energy Plan for a second 5-year window. If you will recall, the 2018 bill that passed was approved for a 5-year plan. So 2019 through 2023 was the plan that was in place. The PSC can renew that plan for a second 5-year window without the bill having to go back before the Missouri legislative body. So that's the plan for the next 5 years, is to keep investing in the grid, showing great benefits to our customers, improving reliability, also keeping downward pressure on customers' electric rates, and encouraging more renewable energy by investing in wind and solar, which we'll talk about more in the presentation going forward as well. We just want to mention too that part of this plan was to, again, keep downward pressure on electric rates for customers, both, or really I should say all three: residential, commercial, and industrial customers. And we did have a 6% rate cut to all of our electric customers in August of 2018. That was a part of the bill, and another 1.5% rate cut in April of 2020. So like so many of your businesses, we focus on our customers. The customers are the heart and soul of everything we do. If we had no customers, it would be not a reason to have a business, as you guys know. So it's customer centric. We do all of what we do to serve our customers. And again, we're focused on not only keeping a safe, secure, reliable, and resilient grid, but to bring more renewable energy into the mix, to be conscious of our carbon footprint and to reduce that going forward over time, and certainly to provide financial stewardship on behalf of all stakeholders, including our shareholders. We talked about this 2 years ago with you guys, where the grid of today has typically been one way. You know, since most of our coal power plants were built, and even the Callaway nuclear energy plant, where I spent about half of my Ameren career, they were baseload plants, large plants that were generating facilities with transmission lines that distributed that to our homes and businesses around the state, and certainly transmission and substations stepped the voltage down through distribution lines to our homes and businesses. But it's really been a one-way flow of energy, really for the last 40 to 50 years primarily, and really since the company's inception, more than 100 years ago. Our customers are telling us, though, they want more energy choice. They would like to have opportunities, as I mentioned a moment ago, to put solar panels on their homes and businesses and generate part of their electricity on their own. And also, they're asking for more information. They want two-way flow of information and energy. So if they generate electricity on a solar panel or from a solar panel on their home, they would like to not only discount their bill, but if there's some excess, they could sell that back into the energy grid. So the diagram on the right side of this slide you see talks about those things, about the grid being more two-way. We will certainly have smart meters installed for all of our customers by the end of 2025 as part of our smart energy plan. The smart switches and technology we are installing and the sensors that allow the grid to be more self-healing have already been paying dividends, as we mentioned. And you will see Ameren, Missouri, over time, move away from our 4 large coal plants to more wind and solar and other renewable forms of generation. And certainly Callaway will stay in the mix. That's our large baseload plant here near Fulton, Missouri, in central Missouri, and it generates 1,200 megawatts of electricity. And it's certainly a carbon-free generating source that we intend to keep going for many, many decades to come. And our customers are also asking for more rate options. They would like to say, could I have different types of rates if I really do incent me to use my appliances off peak hours, to have different, more energy efficient appliances. So I think you will see going forward more unique energy options for customers and more unique rate designs for our customers. So I talked about 2020 successes. Let's look a little bit at 2019. So we have examples. I certainly won't go through all the projects, and guys, because of the nature of the membership of the site, projects primarily. We certainly have done some Missouri in Kirksville and over in Excelsior Springs on the western side of the state, just north of Kansas City, which is Ameren, Missouri territory. But we will focus today looking mostly at St. Louis and the eastern half of Missouri projects. So the one you see in the upper right here is the North St. Louis City. It's a substation project that replaced a 70-year-old substation and added a new substation to support the expansion of the National Geospatial Intelligence Center that we talked about, I think Tom mentioned in his presentation, as well as other residents and businesses. So that was a big substation project that was completed in 2019. In West St. Louis County, we did some system hardening and substation upgrades. We upgraded the substation and about 10.5 miles of power lines and installed 200 stronger utility poles to improve reliability to 3 critical facilities, including a level 1 trauma center and children's specialty care center, as well as 10,000 local residents and businesses. And when we talk about hardening the grid, so often it talks about putting new utility poles in. These are made of composite materials, which are much stronger to stand up against high winds, winter storms. If you do have a derecho type wind that came through last year, a straight line wind that maybe would take some power lines down, if every third or fourth or fifth one of the poles are made of composite material, it keeps the whole line intact. And even if an older standard wooden pole would break, you have enough with the composite poles in order to keep those lines standing. So that's a big part of our investment through the Smart Energy Plan. One more project, guys, from Southeast Franklin County. It was a system hardening project. We upgraded 28 utility poles along a 1-mile route on Highway FF in Londell, which will support improved reliability for more than 400 residents and the area school district. So again, another system hardening project that we're just trying to give you a feel for some of these around the metropolitan area that we've implemented over the last year or two. Now, this one may be very hard to read, but I do want to walk you through some of this because this shows the Smart Energy Plan capital investment that we made in 2020, as well as what we plan for the next 5 years. So we've broken down the Smart Energy Plan categories by type, and you can see the investment. So 447 million was in smart, reliable grid operations, the actual spend in 2020. Smart meters, 63 million. Nuclear generation out of Callaway, 71.6 million, and on down the line. So the total capital spend for 2020 by Ameren, Missouri was $1.1 billion. When you add the acquisition of the completed wind energy center, the renewable energy center up in Adair and Schuyler counties near Kirksville, and a portion of the one was completed in 2020 in Atchison County, which is extreme northwest Missouri. In fact, I jokingly call that the Omaha Wind Farm. Jeremy will hate that comment. Anyway, Omaha Wind Farm, but that's not really the name of it. It's in Atchison County. When you add those investments in, our total capital spend for 2020 was $1.7 billion, with 38% of that spend going for energy grid modernization. Going forward, again, by category, I certainly won't read all of these to you, but you can see the capital investment by year is around $1.5 billion annually. And we will complete the acquisition of that Northwest Missouri Wind Energy Center in 2021. So by the end of this year, that wind farm will be completely done and online. So they were built by contractor companies, both the Northeast Missouri and Northwest Missouri wind farms for Ameren, Missouri. Once they're completed, we take ownership and operate those wind energy centers in both Northeast and Northwest Missouri. So you go across the rows and you can see the investments by type of Smart Energy Plan category. Certainly the largest one is that first row, the smart, reliable grid operations at $3.8 billion for the next 5 years. With the total for the 5 years of 7.9, you add in the other completion of the wind farm from this year, and that puts us at $8.4 billion, again, with 45% of all of that capital spend going toward Smart Energy Plan investment projects over the next 5 years. So kind of lumping some of those categories together so it's maybe a little easier to get your arms around, you can see what the targeted spend for 2021 is in millions of dollars by substations, smart grid, underground cable upgrades, and system hardening. All of those are listed there, and you can see the spend, and then the 5-year spend is also listed for each of those 4 categories. Basically, if you look at the plan and the customer value columns, you can see what the plan is. Substations in particular, guys, many of our substations were very old, so 60 plus years old in some cases, and sometimes that's longer than their intended useful life. But 70 plus new or upgraded substations are being targeted, especially for those ones approaching their end of life over the next 5 or 6 years. The value that provides to our customers, it's state-of-the-art design. It features that self-healing feature with smart switches, newer transformers that are more reliable, all of those things that replace equipment, as you can imagine, that's 50 to 60 years old and has reached the end of its life. The smart meters on the next category, those are smart and automated switches and smart meters will be involved. 1,200 cutout reclosers private fiber wireless communication network in St. Louis, and we'll expand that across our service territory to allow all of this smart equipment to talk to itself. That's what helps value or provide value for the customers in the way of having a self-healing grid. So oftentimes in a straight line wind, a snowstorm, ice storm, spring or summer season of storms, if a tree limb falls on a circuit, for instance, a customer or a series of customers would have a power outage. With the self-healing equipment, the grid will automatically sense that and reroute power to another circuit that's not been damaged. So customers oftentimes will not have an outage that they would have had, and they won't even be aware that the lights blinked. They won't have an outage. And if we do have a power outage, typically customers are seeing them much, much shorter than they have historically been. So that's a big part of the smart grid investment. Underground cables, I know people often ask me, why don't you just put everything underground? That would be so much better. It would be perhaps, but it's about 10 times the cost of overhead lines. So to make these capital investments to strengthen the overhead energy grid is really the most affordable way to do it for our customers. So those are some of the categories, guys. System hardening is the last one there. Upgrades to 125 miles of the sub-transmission system via reconductoring and strengthened wood or composite poles that I talked about. We also upgrade some of those cross arms that you see on a power line pole. They're no longer wooden. Many of the new ones are fiberglass cross arms and insulators. So tying investments to customer value. As we said, our customers are the main focus of why we do what we do. We certainly want to keep the lights on and the gas flowing and do it at an affordable energy rate. So these are some examples of investments that have brought customer value. In central Missouri, where I live, Unilever experienced a number of reliability issues over the past 3 years. And in November, we installed a new customer sub, including a smart switch. And in January of 2020, so just over a year ago, that smart switch worked when the company experienced a fault of their equipment or on their equipment. And the customer sent us a note and said that the new smart protection saved their bacon. So that was a quote we felt we could share. We also installed 8 smart switch gears in Jefferson City. They're downtown near our office here. It supports the downtown business district, many state office buildings, certainly the Capitol complex. And that was a great way to harden the grid because everything is underground in downtown Jeff City. So we upgraded those switch gears about a year ago, I think now. And then in St. Louis area, hundreds in St. Louis County, Westminster High School, and large retirement communities saw outages of seconds to hours. So we invested in 3 smart switches there. And that also has helped them improve their service, keep their lights on more. We can do that better for them. And during that windstorm that I mentioned in November 2019, those newly installed smart switches near the community reduced what could have been an outage from hours down to seconds. So it's been a tremendous investment in those areas, and customers are letting us know that it's helped them. In fact, the blue box on this slide says that installation of those smart switches I mentioned have improved reliability up to 40% based on historical performance. So building on momentum, what are some of the things we did in 2020? Again, big projects involving some pretty good size suppliers in our state. We'll talk more about suppliers in a moment. But in Washington, Missouri, there's a company called WEG Transformers, W-E-G, WEG Transformers. They make these large substation transformers in their facilities in Washington, and they installed some in a Madison substation for Ameren, Missouri, and our customers in that community. And that substation was upgraded to provide improved reliability to more than 3,000 residential customers, as well as the hospital in Washington. And it's helped tremendously in that town. In Moberly, about an hour north of Jefferson City, out here in central Missouri along Highway 63, that community, my wife's hometown, by the way, I have to get that plug in. This is among a number of projects that will reduce outages and upgrade the energy grid to support future growth in central Missouri communities. So Moberly is an example of one of those towns. And that project involved installing 7 poles and adds new wire and cables along a quarter mile of circuit, which increased capacity and improved system reliability. We did a project in High Ridge, as you can see, reduced frequency and outage duration for more than 2,400 customers. And in St. Louis County, we had quite a bit of media coverage about this, but we put a new 12 kV substation in, providing additional capacity for future growth in St. Louis County. And it also supported the Metro's plan to electrify their bus fleet, which could include up to 400 buses, as well as 5 area industrial companies. So those were projects that we completed in 2020. And that was the Deer Creek substation in St. Louis County that I was just mentioning. One of the things that has also helped, that was a huge part of Senate Bill 564 that we have included in our Smart Energy Plan, is the Economic Development Incentive Rider. And it's helping companies grow and expand. So if you're an existing Ameren, Missouri customer, a commercial or industrial customer that meet the certain load requirements, and you want to expand your company and use more energy, or if you're a brand new company locating to Ameren, Missouri service territory, if you, again, qualify for the certain load amounts, increased new additional electric load, these companies can earn up to an average 40% discount on their base electric rates for that qualifying new and expanding business. So again, if an existing company is expanding or a new company comes in and they meet the load criteria, they can get a 5-year 40% discount on those energy costs for that new electric load. And this incentive is available to businesses looking to move to Missouri, as I mentioned, or to further expand. And it also has helped create jobs in our state. Yes, we've got all those numbers on there. So GM plant in Wentzville, as part of that incentive, they decided they would retain business at the Wentzville plant, and that retained 4,000 jobs per the company's information. Quaker Windows, located out here in central Missouri in Freeburg, decided to expand and have a second facility in Eldon, Missouri, and they took advantage of the economic development incentive, and that added 100 jobs in Eldon. And then up near Kirksville, the Western Smokehouse created 50 jobs when they took part in that economic development incentive. And some other new ones, Swift Foods in Moberly created 200 new jobs. Dollar General created 55 jobs in Berkeley with that distribution center. And Patriot Machine created 150 jobs in St. Charles. So again, if you are part of a business that has Ameren, Missouri as your energy provider, and you're looking to expand or grow that business and add some additional load and equipment, or if you're a site selection person, our Chamber of Commerce, and you know of a company wanting to come to our service territory, get in touch with us, please, and we will share information with you that you can provide to these new incoming customers where they can qualify for 40% discount on their new energy rates. So where are we going next? Well, projects this year, and again, I know, guys, I'm probably getting tight on time. I won't read all these, but Hazelwood, we're going to do some equipment installation there and storm hardening. Ferguson, we've got some projects coming up. Potosi down in southeast Missouri, and St. John out near Lambert International Airport. These are all projects we will make investments that are scheduled currently and budgeted currently for this year, 2021. What lies ahead in 2022? We've got projects already identified and planned for Wildwood, O'Fallon, and the Missouri Technical Application Center. All of those will be investments in smart energy grid technology, and those are planned. Again, we have a footnote on our slides. Those project costs and execution years are estimates and are subject to change, but as of today's budget and construction timelines, these projects are slated to go. Real quick before I show you a video, guys, I do want to mention this. The Smart Energy program, the Smart Meter program that I've touched on a couple of times. We started that project installing smart meters on homes and businesses in St. Charles in the middle of 2020. And we will upgrade all 1.2 million electric meters by 2024. As I talked about earlier, customers are wanting more two-way communication about their energy usage, their appliances, how they can get that feedback from Ameren based on these smart meters. We can send information back to customers. And so that's a big part of this smart meter project or program. And the suite of expanded rate options that I mentioned earlier too will also give customers the power to choose a rate that fits their lifestyle best. So the smart meter program customer benefits you can see listed on the lower left part of your slide. It really does improve restoration times if we do have power outages, certainly faster connection for new or moved service, that's one thing that customers have asked us about. If they were going to move or sell their home or just turn their electricity off and move out of the area completely, we would normally roll a truck, send a serviceman out to read that meter out, physically boot the meter or remove it so no power could be going to that property. And then maybe a new owner would buy that, say a week or a month or 6 months later and want power restored. Well, we would schedule that trip and roll a truck out, and the serviceman would either unboot the meter or reinstall the meter and read that back in. With smart meters, all of that can be done within about a 10 or 15 minute window. It's pretty much instantaneous. If you were to call in as a customer and say, hey, I'm not going to pay this electric bill right now, I'm moving out of this property, I don't know who's going to move in, or if you have your landlord and you have tenants doing that, we'll just push a button and turn the power off to that meter. If you called us back an hour later and said we need power back on at this address, we could push a button and within about 15 minutes, power would be restored to that address. So smart meters are a way to help with faster connection for new or moved service. We've talked about more control for our customers with rate options and certainly more precise energy usage data. I just want to give a quick mention. The private wireless network is part of the communication system we're putting in so all of our smart equipment can talk to itself to make all of these features I've been talking about possible. The benefits of all that: lower operating costs will promote affordability, increased visibility for the distribution system, and improved system planning and faster response to outage events, as well as increased cybersecurity. We read more and more about that in the news all the time, about cyber attacks and the fear of taking down power grids. You may have seen in the last couple of weeks, I think it was a water system maybe in Florida that was hacked, and chemicals were added that would have made the water toxic, too toxic to drink. Part of our intention, certainly behind building the smart energy grid, is to harden it not only against physical attacks, either weather or man-made attack of some sort, but certainly increased cybersecurity is a big part of what we're doing. So I've got one more slide, and then I want to show you a video, guys. So we talked about the WEG Transformer Company in Washington, Missouri, and they are building these large substation transformers for us. We've featured them in some videos, but really they are building in Missouri by Missourians for Missourians. It's a tremendous thing where we are putting more and more of our work in state to get our vendors and suppliers more business. So I'll show you on my last slide after the video. We'll run through a few others, and I'll show you how you can get involved as a supplier. To date, we have 141 supplier applications, and the online portal I will show you shows you how to sign up and get pre-qualified to be a supplier that can bid on these projects to harden our energy grid. 57% of our suppliers are Missouri-based through this program. And as I mentioned at the early part of the presentation, 32% of our spend is with diverse suppliers, and that's $225 million for year 2020. So with that, I would like to show you guys a video that was produced by the Missouri Chamber of Commerce and Industry about 18 months ago, but it features some of these suppliers that we've been talking about and what a tremendous job they're doing to not only support Ameren Missouri and our customers, but to grow their own businesses.
The Smart Energy Plan, also known as Senate Bill 564, does some remarkable things for businesses and jobs in the state of Missouri.
It's amazing to think that one legislation can create so many new positions.
It's given us the ability to invest more into the Eldon community.
This particular bill has contributed a significant amount of growth to this company.
In terms of total economic impact, we think it's going to create about 3,000 additional jobs, both direct to Ameren Missouri and the majority of them being indirect, such as suppliers, vendors, independent contractors.
We are a service provider. We do engineering services for Ameren. So when the legislation passed, they contacted us and said, hey, we have these new projects to invest in these regions. Would you be able to support us? And of course, we were ecstatic. The past 6 months, we hired probably 4 people. And then we're about 2 more are going to start in 2 weeks. It has so many impacts in so many people's lives.
Ameren had this smart grid installation project, and we were awarded part of it. It was a place that we wanted to work, being a Missouri company. To date, we've hired 12 new employees And so we're excited about the opportunity that it's going to give our company.
This particular bill has contributed between 21 to 23% of growth that was not foreseen. The impact is major for us, and then it will be subdivided over the different companies with whom we work, our suppliers.
Another exciting component of the Smart Energy Plan is the Economic Development Incentive. And what that does is it gives companies that want to locate to the state of Missouri or expand in the state of Missouri an opportunity to have a significant discount.
We've been growing at 20 to 25% a year, and we're looking to expand to Eldon. And I think the bill and the positive nature that is going on inside the state of Missouri around business and economic development really played an impact in making it happen for us and being able to expand into Eldon.
All right, that was a pretty good video. We have featured those companies and shared that around the state. I've got just a little bit more information on each of those three companies. So you saw Mr. Simpson talking about BBC Electric. It's in Joplin. It's in extreme southwest Missouri. They're not in Ameren, Missouri's footprint. They are not a customer of ours, but they certainly wanted to get engaged as a supplier and provide equipment and work with Ameren, Missouri to benefit our customers. So you saw some about that. These are examples on the right side of the slide, guys, that show some of the substations and smart switch installations they have done. We talked about WEG transformers again in, excuse me, Washington, Missouri. These are some of their project highlights. That Madison substation in Washington, it's very near their facilities and certainly close to the hospital in Washington, and serves the customers we mentioned to you previously there. So it's been a tremendous project for us. And Philip James is the WEG general manager there, and he wrote a letter to the editor of the Missourian, the Washington Missourian, or the, I guess just the Missourian. It serves maybe Union, Missouri as well. But they've been very great to work with in keeping these projects coming and helping us meet our on-time scheduled delivery and installation for these projects. And then you saw Luce. She is always energetic and eager to talk about their company's been small, but they have grown. As she mentioned, I think they'd hired 4 people, and now they've hired at least 2, if not 4 more, just in the past 18 months or so. But these are some of the projects that they have worked on regarding our smart energy plan. So kind of wrapping up before I show you the information on how you guys can get pre-qualified as suppliers. Certainly the Smart Energy Plan is designed to transform the energy grid of today into the energy grid of tomorrow and power the quality of life for our customers, our communities, and our coworkers for generations to come. So between improving the reliability of the grid, keeping downward pressure on electric rates, creating jobs and tax benefits for the communities and the counties and the state that we serve, and certainly hardening the grid, as we said, against cyber attacks and natural attacks from weather. It makes it safer for our coworkers as well. When the line workers go out, especially in inclement weather, many of these installations have made their work and what they do safer. We've got rid of older wire with newer wire and cable, and it's safer for them to work on. So I think in just a moment we'll bring up the webpage itself. But guys, I just want to let you know that if you are a contractor or a company, or you're a subcontractor of one of these companies, and you do any of these types of projects, directional boring services, hydro excavation, underground cabling installation, underground duct bank installation, or overhead line electrical installation, those are the types of work that we would love to have you go to our website and complete the form. There's a pre-qualification form, and this will be, I'll be honest, this was a portion of Senate Bill 564 that was passed in 2018. This was really something that the Senate wanted added to that bill, is how can we grow more jobs in Missouri and create more work, not only for the projects you're doing, Ameren, but for the people that will come in and do that work. So if we could go to the full page website, please, I will show you guys that. So this is that web page. It talks about supplier diversity, You can become a supplier and grow with us if you're not already. And as you go down to the bottom of the page, the blue box I just showed you on the slide is featured there. And there's a little link at the very bottom that says start the form. And if you go through the process, it probably is about 14 or 15 screens with about 50 questions. And it asks everything about your business, from the nature of the work you do, number of employees, your safety record, your annual revenues. It really asks about your company, so we get to know you and know all about your business. Once you get in that hopper and are pre-qualified, as these jobs for smart energy plant projects come up for bid, you're already in the hopper. So it has expedited that. And some of these vendors that we have shown you in this video and we just talked about on the slides really have gotten engaged through this process. And we would strongly encourage you guys to do that too, because over the next 5 or 10 years, we've got so much more work to do to continue hardening our grid and to make it the grid of the future to benefit all of our customers at Ameren, Missouri, and to help grow our state's economy. We've all been through an extremely difficult time. I'm just now back in the Jeff City office. Most of us, in fact, 60%, roughly 60% of Ameren, Missouri's Ameren's 9,300 workers in both Missouri and Illinois have been working from home since last March 16th. Just now, we slowly starting to come back into the office, and I'm here because it's close to the Capitol. I can go over and do my lobbying work with our legislators. But we certainly want you guys to get engaged, to get some of this work to help grow our energy grid and make it harder and smarter. But also, as the first 5-year window comes up for renewal at the Missouri Public Service Commission, if you wanted to reach out to the Missouri Public Service Commission staff at the appropriate time, I can reach you through our stakeholder advocacy team. This is my last pitch. It's called Power Forward. Hopefully some of you are members of Power Forward. If not, you can certainly go to our website and sign up. You can learn a lot more about smart energy, but go to Power Forward. So all one word, powerforwardmo for Missouri.com, powerforwardmo.com. And I would encourage you to sign up as a member. There's no cost. You'll get newsletters from me once a month that talk about all of these kinds of activities and projects. And we would certainly encourage you, as I said, to get engaged as a supplier. And if the right time comes and we feel it's appropriate for our Power Forward members to reach out to the Public Service Commission, we could put out a call to action, maybe have you guys send a letter to the Public Service Commission staff or to a legislator or whomever to help us renew this plan for a second 5-year window. So I appreciate your time and attention. Hopefully this was of value to you, and I'd be happy to try to answer any questions. Jeremy?
All right, Rick, thank you very much. As always, we've got a number of members that they do a lot of work for Ameren, and so it's good to hear what's coming up down the road. We do have one question, and I'll show it right now. And it is, can you share updates on how Ameren is accommodating growth in electric vehicles? What's their expectation for the amount of growth energy source for vehicles versus traditional fuel consumption?
I don't have the numbers right in front of me, guys, but I can tell you we partnered with about 6 other utilities to install a electric vehicle charging network from Michigan and Wisconsin down to Kansas. So along the interstates, just within this last year, and in fact, that's one of the articles in a relatively recent newsletter, Jeremy, Grandpa can't remember all the details, installed X number of charging stations. So if you have an electric vehicle and want to make a multi-state trip, it would be much easier for you to map out where the charging stations are and to be able to come and stop and charge your vehicles. We have done some stories recently. We've partnered with some businesses. The Schnucks store in Cape Girardeau just put some charging stations in, as did the brand new Courtyard by Marriott here in Jefferson City in their parking garage. So we've done some media events around those and brought local business leaders out, but we're trying to publicize where we've partnered with businesses. Well, normally what happens, Jeremy, is we give some discounts to the vendor, the store that's installing those charging stations. They set it up where they collect the fees for people to charge their vehicles. So we don't directly sell the electricity from those to them. It goes back through the business and added to their electric bill. But we've worked very well with some of these sponsoring companies. As far as the rate comparison, I think Most of these quick chargers now you can charge in anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes time if you pull in some of these quick charging stations. And I think the equivalent is probably, well, I hate to say the number for sure, but it's, I don't want to say a number, Jeremy, I'll get it wrong. It's not a whole lot more than if you were filling up your tank, especially probably at a $2 a gallon gasoline. But I can send that out to site so they have that information.
Perfect. Rick. Well, you hit the timeline perfect. So thank you again for your presentation. Just have a couple follow-up items to talk to the site members about. But Rick, thank you for your presentation. Tom from MoDOT, thank you for your presentation, guys. Great information.